Okay, welcome back. So, first things first, because we missed out on one of the materials, as I said, I'm not too bothered about that. I'm just going to go and open up the BP, the blueprint, and I don't really need project settings open at the moment. Let's go to the viewport, and I'm just going to find something to put on there. So we've got our materials down here under starter content. Let's see. Well, there's usually something. A basic wall. That's probably enough. Let's drag and drop that. So basic wall. Will that not work? Whoops. Door frame. Where are we? Oh, what we might need to do. Oh yeah, a material. We should just be able to use selected asset. So we've selected that here. Actually, there's a couple of different ways. We'll just do this. That's fine. So we click on that, and we've just got the white there. And if I want to make it something other than that pretty awful blue, I don't really mind, but we could go and say grab, I don't know, what about the walnut? And go to the door and swap that over. Oh, that's very dark, isn't it? Control Z, let's undo that. I don't think it's going to work. Is there something a little less? No, some pine wood. It might. That looks gross, doesn't it? That looks pretty awful. Yeah, no, I'm not going to keep that. I just the blue just looks so awful. What could we use? Something that's going to be, that's just not going to look too bad. We don't have a lot here, do we? So we could just keep that, I guess. Maybe. Let's try this one just in case. The last try. Otherwise, I keep the blue. Okay, maybe that's all right. I mean, it's different. Let's if we just save that. If we go back in here now, it should be changed. There we go. So let's have a look at. We've already seen what it does. We've seen how it works. Let's actually look at what is going on in here. So we have the meshes. If we have a look down here, we've got our door frame, which is here, the static mesh. We have the trigger box, which is this one here. We've used trigger boxes before. We know how they work. And we have the door, which is another static mesh. So, okay. Let's go back to our event graph and see what is going on. All right, so let's have a look. We've got our begin overlay. Now, we've used that again previously as well. So we know that when we overlap our trigger, so it's related to this one, this stuff happens. So we have this, which if we click on it, we get to see here, that is a timeline. We haven't talked about timelines, but that's a really interesting part of Unreal. It's something that Unreal gives us, which gives us quite a bit of control over various things, such as doors opening and stuff like that. Now it's opening a direction. It's doing some stuff here, which getting actor location here. So it's getting the location of ourselves, so where we are. Getting the actor location of the other actor. And then it's doing, I'm not going to go through the maths because I know some of you will be able to work. Those of you who will be able to work it out will work it out. That's fine. Those of you who can't, well, that's okay as well. So we are getting the location, subtracting that, and then getting the rotation of ourselves again. Unrotate vector. So we're doing some stuff here. We're breaking that from a vector. So a vector is basically just an X, Y, Z value. And then we're just checking whether that's greater than 0, and that gives us our open direction. So I'm not going to go into the maths, but you can work it out if you like. All we need to know is it actually works. We've checked it. So then we're going to open direction, and it says play from the start. So what is this thing? What is going on here? Well, look, if we double click on that, we get this editor. Now this We had these before, we saw these before. This is what we call a curve editor. You can set these up really to do whatever you like. We've got this going from 0, so this is our time, through to 2, so this would be 2 seconds. And it's going from 0 to 1 value. So over 2 seconds, it's going from 2 to 1, and it's following this curve. So what's going to happen is that as we plug in the time, or as the time goes through, it's going to send automatically back to us the values at this point on the curve that relate to that time. So if we come back here, so what's actually happening, we've got all this code initially. We trigger the overlap, and it goes through and sets things up, open the direction, etc. And then it plays this from the start. And this thing repeats over and over again. So in fact, let me just add some code in here to show this. If we add a print string, and in fact what I might do is let's just say timeline, compile, save, and now when we go through the door, it will show up top left hand corner. So you can see it's running many times, all by itself. So that's what a timeline does. It runs automatically. And in fact, what we can do is we can actually get the value that's coming out of there. So this is what it is. It's a float. So it's a floating point. So what we can do is we can grab this now. What's the best thing for us to do? If I just plug this into here, it's just going to do a conversion, which is fine. So this just means it's converting from my float to a string. So that's actually going to put the value that is coming out of our timeline. I think that might be interesting to see. So let's compile that. And in fact, maybe we should move this so it's not quite so far away from our... let's just pop this over here. It's going to rotate it around and just move it a little further away. There we go. Okay. So hit play, and it's over here now. And if you look at the top left-hand corner, it's going to show you the values that are coming through that timeline. Okay. Did you see them? If you didn't see them, don't forget we can always come to our output log here. When we do a print string, it actually prints them all out to the output log as well. So these are the values. If you want to do some debugging or something, then you can have a look and see what the values are. So you can see they're very small, and they go up to a maximum of actually 7.79. It should go up to 1. So that's kind of interesting. It doesn't go all the way up to 1. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but I'm sure there's a reason. But we can see what's actually going on there. So that's what's happening there. So we're getting that, and so we've got the door, and we're changing its relative rotation. And again, what we're doing here is we're selecting a float. Again, this is kind of a little bit beyond what we're going to go through today, but we're doing a lerp here. This is a linear interpolation. Essentially, that's going from one value to another one. So we have the relative rotation here of the door, and that's setting our relative rotation, a new rotation, and then it's setting the direction, and it's giving us 0, 0, 0, and yaw. So this is what we call a rotator. And if we go, we haven't really looked at these things yet. Hello. There we go. If we go into really any object, I think I mentioned earlier on, we can have a look at the details. All of these have values here, what we call a transform. The transform is made up of three different things. So we have a location, a rotation, and a scale. So what we're just looking at was a rotator. So we're rotating the door. And where are we rotating it from? We're rotating it around its pivot point. So you can see the pivot point is there. Now that's going to be set by the modeler. And it's going to rotate around the Z. Don't forget Z is up in Unreal. So it's going to be rotating around the Z. And the other two, if we have a look in here, are set to, so X is 0, Y is 0, Z, we're actually changing that relative to our rotation here. So that's our alpha. So essentially we're looping between our rotation, that rotation and that rotation there. We're creating a new rotator, and we are applying that to our relative rotation to our doors. This is our door object relating right here. And we've got the same thing happening when the door closes. So, well, similar thing happening. It's a little bit more, a little bit simpler, I guess. So on end overlap, it just goes and swings back again. So if we double click on this, it'll open up swing closed. And we can see we go from 0 to 2 again. This time, the curve is a little bit different. Now this is where curves are quite powerful, particularly, I guess, for your sort of artists and designers, because you can really control the feel, I guess, you know, so you can ease things in and ease them out, or you can go straight up, or you can really have that curve doing whatever you want it to do. Control Shift S just to make sure everything's saved. So what we've got happening here, and again, let's maybe just add a print string so we can actually see what's going on. Print. And grab our rotation again and pop that in there. This time I'll show you something just a little useful if you're doing debugging. If I drag off this, so this is returning a string, it's doing a string in here. If I want to have more than that, because we're going to be seeing two different outputs here. So what do these numbers mean? For my debugging, if I just drag that off and go append, APP, and I get append, hit enter, that allows me to add more things to this. So in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to break that link. I'm going to go break links, and let's just say close value, and then a space, and then I'm going to input that here, and it's going to append the value here to the end of this string, and we're going to get the final string coming out here. So what we should see is close value, and then the values that are coming out of my timeline when it closes as well. So let's just compile that and save. So when we go here, you'll see initially, and then we go through, and we've got close value there as well. So that's what's going on in my door. So that's pretty handy. We've got a nice door here. Does what we want it to do. Opens up, closes, opens whichever side I'm on, and does what I want it to do. So look, let's just pause there again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to do some different things. So I'll pause and we'll come back again.